Hey, all you cool busters and bustettes. I'm Ghostbuster Joe, and welcome to episode 61 of Ghost Head Talk Podcast. And tonight, fans, a treat because we have a fellow Ghostbusters fan that has a lot to talk about, like myself. Let's give a warm Firehouse Ghost Head Talk welcome to Rain. Welcome,
So,
welcome. Rain, so what do you do for your Ghostbusters franchise?
I'm with the Portland Ghostbusters here on the West Coast. I am the prop and uniform coordinator, also the team medic. I make sure I'm a CPR first aid certified and have some light first responder training, and I make sure the team is well hydrated and make sure that they're okay, especially when we do different events and busts because it gets really hot in these Nomex suits, and sometimes they make sure that they're they're doing all right. As prop and uniform coordinator, I like to make sure we keep a standard of props and how they are presented because we like to keep a professional appearance. Not so much as like it has to be mega accurate or anything, but we just like to make sure that they're not like super damaged or looking ratty or anything like that. And I also help with like newer team members and that need um, help building their props or people who need 3D printed stuff. I'm actually 3D printing right now in the background. Um, and I do a lot for the team as far as like helping to find or fix mods or do different stuff because I solder and work with PC electrical boards. So I've been fixing neutrino ones when the front lights don't work anymore, things like that. So everything proper wise, involved.
That's awesome. So, like, I guess Home Depot and Lowe's must love you when you go to get the wires and stuff like that.
Amazon, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's funny because that's actually my primary. So
Wow.
I,
Where I
I
live, by me, it's Home Depot and Lowe's. like,
no, I have them too. I usually go for them for paint because usually I just rather it's closer and yeah.
yeah. So, like, what made you get into the lovely world of Ghostbusters?
Oh gosh. So when I was a kid, and I had saw a shadow person in my doorway at my old home. Gosh, I don't remember how I was. Probably less than 10. Um, and it scared the crap out of me. And I just saw this shadow person in the doorway when I woke up, and just happened to it walked in front of me, and then it turned and looked my way, and then I hid under the covers. And then I just ever since then that has fascinated me in the world of paranormal. And then in 1984, this crazy movie where I saw these guys with backpacks and like shooting these electron bolts of electricity or lightning from them, and you come from like Star Wars and you're like, whoa, what is this? This is something different. And I'm already a tech nerd and a bit of a science buff, and it was just and I'm super into like astronomy and space. I went to space camp for 2 years, but other story. But it just drew me into it. And then I had begged my grandparents to take me to go see it. And we went and saw it. And I absolutely fell in love with it. It blends everything that I really enjoy, which is paranormal, science, technology, and just and fun comedy and a bit of horror too. That taxi cab driver guy scared me as a kid, but after that, I had immediately wanted to see it again because it was just so cool. And so I had begged my mom and dad to take me to go see it. And then when we went and saw it, it happened to be a double feature featuring it with Weird Science, which showed first, then it showed the Ghostbusters. So it was a cool treat to see that, especially as a gosh, 1984. I was 8 years old, so
Mm. It's it's crazy to think that like this franchise is 39 years old, going on 40.
yeah, it's
Like,
awesome. A lot of people ask me like, well, why Ghostbusters? And a friend of mine told me this, and I think it really held true with what I would like. When you cosplay, and you play as Batman, you're Bruce Wayne. when you play as Tony Stark or Tony Stark. When you're a Ghostbuster, you can be you. You can actually be yourself, your own character, your own character in a sense. And I think it's yeah, exactly. And I think that's the only cosplay franchise that you can actually be like that. If you're an anime character, you're that character. If you're Marvel, you're that character. You can't really be yourself in anything else. So, I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I really love about Ghostbusters as far as cosplay. I could actually be me.
My barbershop, since now, like, with the dudes at ringside stuff, my barber is like a homie. He's literally like, yo, son. He's like, Joe, I gotta ask you a question, man. Are you still fucking Ghostbuster Joe? Are you Joe Panther the Third? And I said, and I said more to him, totally the end of Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I changed the phrase to what I am. I said, I may be a pro wrestling podcaster that's internationally known. And he's like my height. And he was standing up, I was standing up, but I'll always be a Ghostbuster.
Nice.
And but my dad was like, shut up, Randy. But then my boys, all the barbers are like, yeah, I love that, Joe. Wow, that was deep. That phrase was that whole thing was deep. Like, maybe a pro. I'm saying this straight up to everybody on the internet that loved me, that's watched me over the years, that's just Ghostbuster Joe. I'm maybe a pro wrestling podcaster, but I'll always be a Ghostbuster. This flight suit, unless I get sick and they have to take it away from me, I'll always wear this thing. I'm
Right.
the yeah, I'm the founding father of the Ghostbusters of Pike County. The only member right now, but
Nice. Hey, it's so cool. It's still a franchise.
yep. And Sony knows about it. I was one of the
Hey,
many that Sony actually has my patch, has this patch,
nice.
Sony headquarters, and not many. And I have the plaque behind the wall, behind the set on my wall. Cried the day I got it. So when you got your membership of their franchise, did you feel like super important? That yeah.
Our franchise has been affiliated with Sony Ghost Corp also. We were actually we helped out with a commercial that they did last year when they teamed up with Vacasa, and it was actually pretty well known. They had teamed up with a third party production company and Vacasa, which is like vacation rental, like Airbnb, and they had turned a Portland firehouse that was built in 1917 into the Ghostbusters firehouse. And
Hmm.
the deal was that they wanted to raise money for charity, but it was also a one-time, one-shot only, where whoever had won or gotten into the purchase the stay, which it was only $19.84 for the whole weekend, but it was for Halloween, so it was like 28. No, it was 29th through the 31st. And but they for the commercial, Sony had told them that they wanted us. Well, they had told them to ask us for props and equipment because Sony didn't have anything to give to them at the moment because I guess they were getting ready for the second Afterlife movie. So
Hmm.
we had so we loaned them all of our props and equipment, all of our packs, everything in there. Actually, my belt gizmo is featured right on when it's in one of the shots. We had our Ecto in there, the Ecto 1S from Sandy. It was really cool. It was really neat. We sat on the shoot for like 3 hours. We had made them 20 gallons of slime. They wanted 10 gallons of green, 10 gallons of pink, and you'll see a lot of that in the commercial that's on there. It's really cool. But they had a purposely made the another Ghostbuster sign for the firehouse, and it was the third one in the world. And got the original mold makers from the company in New York to make this sign, and it's the only double-sided sign from what they were saying. Which I guess in the original movie was only single-sided, and Hook and Ladder I guess got one of them that's up in New York. But this third one, we were hoping to get at the end of the shoot, but they were like, no, we need to ship that back. Because at the
Oh,
end, all the props and everything else that they had in there, they were getting rid of it. They were like, nope, it's all going in the dump. So we were able to quickly snag like an ecto containment unit that they had built. The laser, there was no real name for it, but it was they shot the lasers in Ghostbusters 2 when it was in the like the crystal gallery, and then they shot up
oh
and all this
yeah,
stuff fell down.
yeah. Yeah.
But
So
we were really lucky. They had so much cool stuff, like an original X-ray machine from the 1940s, just going into landfill. this huge shelf that was from the 1930s, tons of like parts for resistors, replacements, circuit boards that could easily be turned into belt gizmos, lots of neat stuff, just all going in the trash. We saved as much as we could.
Wow. That's crazy that you guys got involved with like Sony. I've been dying to have them even look at my podcasting because I'm afraid they may give me a copyright strike, but I don't show anything on any of my episodes. I'm just talking. Hence the name.
Right?
Just talking. Nothing included. Don't show any pictures. Don't like like which cartoon would you say would be yours? Extreme or a real
Oh
Ghostbusters?
gosh, real Ghostbusters. I remember I caught it on like the second or third episode, and then they just happened to rerun the first, and I saw it was a continuation from the first movie, and I just thought that was amazing. I was like, oh cool, it's a continuation, and it just kind of led on, and then I was like, okay, now I understand why Slimer's in the show and all that. And it was great. I absolutely loved it. I talked my brother into getting the proton packs so I could play with it.
Oh yeah.
And we had the toys and the ecto and the silly little spinny proton pack thrower things that you spun in the back of the wands. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like that stuff. Yeah.
I used to always get so mad at my friends when they were like, I used to keep mine straight and not spin it, and all my friends would be like, and I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, "Yeah, we're a ghost detected a ghost. No, I used to like little hyperactive little boy, ADD going, like shooting the air, like making sound effects, and they're all like,
Right.
yeah, using the zapper thing on the gun, like. Yeah. Who needs sound effects? Joe's there.
Right? Oh, I
Yeah.
used to do the same too. I mean, when you're a kid, you do those kinds of things. My son keeps coming in and telling me, "Look, I can make the sound of a helicopter now. I can make the sound of this car," or he mimics this person, and he does a pretty good job. It's cute. I was
I
like, I
can
remember doing
imagine.
that.
Imagine after your son watches this episode with you, he's gonna be like, "Hey, all you cool busters and bustettes." You go, no, it's
Got that,
Milo.
that smooth, silky voice.
Yeah, that's smooth, silky voice. So like, have you ever thought of making like a kid-sized proton pack, like the one behind you with the lights and everything?
I mean, there is the spirit one. So I mean, I've actually only been doing props since August of last year. And if this is just a culmination of all of my skills that I've learned, I'm a classic Jill of all trades. I've worked so many different jobs in so many different places. And when I was younger, I'm from SoCal, and I always had an old Volkswagen. I've had a 61 Beetle, 66 Beetle, 68, 69, a 70, 71. I've had a 66 13 window bus. Um, but they always needed work and maintenance to keep it running. So it was something that I always just worked on. Like I did the brakes and then replaced the brake cylinders, and then my dad would help me do the electrical. He's a mechanical engineer and a master electrician. So I learned a bit of soldering from him long ago. And we always just kept the cars running. And that's how I kind of just got my mechanical ability. And I've always built computers and since the 90s, and just always been into lots of technical stuff. And so when I got into the Spirit Pack, which is my first one right there, um, it was I just got into started making mods for it. And then I wanted to do I originally got the Ghost Labs kit for it because I wanted the better cyclotron lights. I wanted, like, when you turn the pack on, I wanted them on when I was walking around. I didn't like just pressing the button on top and seeing the throw action, then it just spinning. I wanted it to sit on my pack and look cool. And so that's how I got into putting the electronics in, and then started putting into paint, and then started getting into Taco Belly made a mod for the Spirit Pack where it gets rid of that the cyclotron and the bumper are molded together. So I went through with a Dremel and cut it all out, and then put that piece back in, and it just started to work that way, and then it just kind of all came together. I saw a few people who did painting and weathering a certain way of just putting a silver coat down and then putting a black. and then they would brush it lightly to like make scratches. So I kind of took that idea and ran with it, and then it started with my spirit pack, and then I started doing that with all my props. And my current HasLab pack is super done for that because it's the beat up HasLab pack, but it came out so great, and it just happened to work that way. But I don't know. I absolutely I just love it. It's just so much fun. Same with the chipper. When I made the ghost chipper, I put all the from soldering from learning from my dad. I just put all the PCB boards together and just started soldering and make all the connections, and it just started just kind of built up, kept going from there, and I just kept going. I didn't really realize how cool all this stuff was until getting it out there in the public and people seeing it. They were like, "Wow, your stuff's really amazing." I was like, I try to be humble because I don't think I'm better than anyone else, but it's just I think it's just so cool that people think so highly of it. I'm just so just I'm blown away.
Yeah. So, like, what do you like? What are your thoughts? Everybody always says Ghostbusters 2 is not like a good, like, good. They always say it's like not a good movie. What would you think? What do you say about Ghostbusters 2?
When I was a kid, I saw the movie, and I was slightly disappointed, but then I found my mom bought me the novelization of the movie, and it was actually really good. Because I was envisioning the movie when I was watching it, but it had so many like scenes in it that make the movie make more sense. So like there's a scene where where Ray is getting slightly possessed, and then you see him and he's acting like kind of like a monkey, and then Winston asks him, "Hey, are you okay?" And then in the book it says that Ray kind of got possessed and weirded out when he was driving the Ecto. And you can see that part, that half of that scene where you see Venkman turn around and he's just like, huh? And then turns around again. And they cut that part out. It's part of like a montage. I guess they were trying to put that in the movie, and for time purposes or whatever, it was missing. Even at the end of the movie, in the book, it says that when they brought the Statue of Liberty back to its pedestal, that they messed up and they put the torch in the book in the wrong hand. And then ending quote is like, "Oh, they'll never know." Of like, and it's like a wink, wink kind of nod. I thought that was really cool, but but it's something that you don't see. And I watched the movie again to see if that happens, but it's not. It's just a shot of the real. That'd be neat if they added that in there. But it
Yeah,
was
the
just,
hand is like it's like this
yeah,
instead
it's
of
the other way around.
like this. I think New Yorkers now would be offended. Be like, that's offensive. Like,
Right, probably. But I think that's what made me like kind of like the movie a bit more. Was that after reading the book and seeing it expanded a bit more onto the movie. It was like for me, it was like watching a director's cut in my mind because I was also playing the movie in my head as I was reading it. So it was really I just enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. Was it the best movie? Probably not. But for what it was, I was like anything more Ghostbusters was fine with me because we had the cartoon, and the '89 movie came out, and I just really enjoyed it.
so let's flash forward. When they played the very first commercial for the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, what were your thoughts? The very first commercial, the teaser commercial.
I was excited because we didn't know the story up until that point, and it was like, oh, cool, more Ghostbusters. But then as I learned that it was more of a reboot, it was a bit disappointing. I really thought that it was going to be like the guys handing off the torch to their daughters or something like that, and it was a passing on. And I think for me, and I still enjoyed the movie as a whole, and I get a lot of people who tell me they don't like it, and I say, you know what? For all the talk of multiverses, for me, this movie exists in a multiverse, and like you see, like the characters from the original movie still have a connection because you see them in that movie, so they are still connected to that story in a certain way, but it's just different people. So I just see
Yeah,
it as a multiverse type thing instead of as a reboot. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I was more disappointed that it was a bit of a reboot. And I think they lost an opportunity. I mean, I get that they wanted to try and make it their own and do something else, but I think because there's such a legacy behind it. I mean, these props are just so iconic, and a Ghostbuster proton pack is only a proton pack. It's like you ever only see it as this, and it's just such a iconic look. Same with like you see the PKE, which is funny. It's appeared in other movies. It's actually in what is it? With he takes off the glasses. I totally forgot the name of it right now. They Live.
Yeah,
So one of the bad guys used it to look for the Roddy Piper and Keith David. And then
yeah,
it was also in Suburban Commando, which with Hulk Hogan and wrestler,
yep,
and it was Christopher Lloyd. And I remember seeing that. It was like, oh, hey, PKE, I know what that is.
yeah,
But I think it's just such a iconic equipment that seeing that the new stuff, while it was really cool and interesting at the same time, it was just kind of disappointing to see that just went to this different direction. So in my mind, I think calling it a multiverse kind of allows it to stay um, relevant, but at the same for myself, but also it doesn't diminish what I think the 84 and 89 movies set out to do.
yeah. Here we go. Flash a little bit further. The reboot comes out. It doesn't really do what it's told. It goes on. No one thinks, and then February comes, and that famous trailer with the freaking barn, the lightning flashes, the tarp. You're getting chills. I can see you're getting chills like I am. The
Yes.
tarp comes up, and the Ecto One shows. How did you feel about that one?
Oh god, that was exciting. I was like, but first part I had a little bit of trepidation because I just like didn't want to be overexcited if it wasn't something because hype and what we expect as fans doesn't necessarily translate when when it comes out. And so
Right.
I was just super excited, but at the same time didn't want to like overhype myself for it, just in case it ended up being not as great. But I mean, obviously it changed. It was way better than I expected, but it was so exciting to see the Ecto again.
Yeah. So when you saw like the second and third trailer, did you cry? I did.
I love the Stranger Things feel of it from I mean, and it's not because of the Finn Wolfhard that was in it. It was just a great kind of different vibe that it kind of brought off. But yeah, I got chills from it. I didn't cry from it. I did from the actual movie when I saw the ending though.
I cried when the phrase they played the Peter Bankman phrase. Call it luck,
Yes.
call it fate, call it karma. I believe everything happens for a reason, and I go that use that phrase for dudes at ringside after my co-host left. And now I have
Cool.
wrestlers talking. He's still talking to me, and I literally say I said it to the day after my partner left. I will say, call it luck, call it fate, call it karma. I believe everything happens for a reason.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, I actually believe the same thing.
So like after we see this new movie and everybody's absolutely happy, and they cry at the end because I saw it with my dad and I sat in the back of the theater. Still COVID time. It was 2021 and when it came out, and I'm sitting there with a mask on, tears in my eyes. The mask is full of tears. Like you just said, you cried. Like, what were your first reactions at the end of the movie when our favorite former boss pops up one last time to help the boys?
It hit harder for me because I lost my mom to cancer. She was only 64 in 2018, and so and it meant more to me because it was the daughter who lost a parent, and it's same with in the movie Carrie Coons who lost their father. And my first thought was, God, I wish I could have that. Wish my mom could be like that. And I can give her a hug because my mom was on major drugs um, when she died, and so I wasn't able to say goodbye. And
I'm so
so,
sorry.
yeah, it was very hard, but they brought all that out. But at the same time, it was just so cool and so beautiful how they did it and how the CGI was just perfect, and it was just a great send off for Harold. And I think it was a great way to it was a perfect way to end it into the franchise for him, but
Yeah,
also kind of leave his business finished and have like closure. But yeah, I think it was great.
yeah. Like I find it really, really good that they they sent it off that way, but after hearing news about now there will be a sequel to
Yes.
Afterlife in and it won't be in East Bumba. It will be in the good old New York City in the firehouse. How do you feel about that? They're bringing it back for a sequel.
Excited. Though I'm curious. So there's debate among our team of like what the because it looks like it's the no ghost logo, but it looks like it's either frosted or it's like or like push. I don't know, like spread over or something like that, or scraped or something. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. And so we're wondering if like cold has to play into it because some people think it looks like frost.
Yeah.
My hope is please don't bring back Gozer. Gozer is already done. Please don't bring back Vigo. I need a new villain. um,
Here we go.
I'm
What
excited.
villain? Sorry. Go on, go on. I'll get my fun
Oh
question.
no! Oh no! No, it's okay. I don't know what kind of villain, but I just want it's just something new. Um, I'm excited to see because they were doing all the filming in New York and the cars racing around, all the streets, and I saw bits of filming on Instagram with that, and I that was exciting to see. And there's one video with McKenna Grace. I don't know if you saw where she's singing inside the firehouse and then is coming out, and
Yeah.
but you see it's like all green screen around, and it was just exciting. It's like, oh, it's the firehouse again. Um,
I'm
so
upset they
it's
didn't
it's
do more.
just
You
oh
know,
what?
I'm kind of upset they didn't do more in New York. We didn't see like Ray walking around. We didn't see like the ending scene like, in New York, like at a
Yeah,
building.
with Winston.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they were leaving it open as like as a possible opening or like ending it there, but also I think the ending scene with the containment unit was just a way of like, yeah, it's open for a sequel if it went. Because from what I've read was that Afterlife saved the Ghostbuster franchise, and that's why we're getting much more Ghostbuster stuff. And so
yeah,
it proved that there is still hunger for this franchise, which again goes back to your first point in the beginning of like 39 years and this franchise is showing no signs of stopping.
yeah.
it's
It's like
it's a giant Stay Puft coolness, you can't knock him down.
yeah. I just think it's crazy that after 39 years, like we're all actually just we're doing this. We're getting another movie. We're like
Yeah, we got a
what?
video game and a VR game
How many video
and then the
games do we have?
HasLab pack.
We got two or three Ghostbusters games out that we all know about.
Yeah, well, I love the 2008 one with the because that one felt like more of the third movie to me, and I wish they would
Oh
have
my
kind of
god,
kept that canon.
that
And
game was so much fun. Ugh.
it was awesome. I absolutely loved it. Which is where a lot of like the sound effects and stuff come from the packs and stuff now, or like my smoke inspiration on mine. Um, the was it the Unleashed was pretty decent. I heard that's I actually I played a little bit of that, and I heard it's canon now, which I think is cool because they did move Raise Occult Books to right next to the fire station, and I guess
Yeah,
that's actually part of canon now. Um, and it was just neat to see just again more story, and the fact that you got Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson in the game, I thought was neat. Um, and I don't know about the VR game. I haven't really seen it, but I don't have VR, so I've seen bits of it, but it looks okay.
yeah. Like it's so crazy to think there's like Ghostbusters games that like kids now will be like, oh yeah, I'm a Ghostbusters fan. For how long, child? That's what I always say. How
Right.
long? Like don't mention
Oh,
2016.
gee.
Yeah, I'm an OG Ghostbuster. I still got the old schools. Like they see my flight suit. Some of the Ghostbusters fans kind of like the ones that are flight suit wearers like us. They kind of critique my suit because it's like khaki and not gray, and I'm like, come on,
Oh,
come
what?
on.
Mine's khaki. Yeah.
Yeah, they get weird about it. Like, have you ever thought of coming to the East Coast to go to like a Comic Con or like something like that over here?
Yeah, I would love to. We actually have family in New Jersey, but flights are just expensive.
Yeah.
But no,
So
I absolutely would love to. I would love to see. because I know there was like a Ghostbusters day, and then I saw that the wedding there at the firehouse,
Oh yeah.
and it was just they had, was it the Alessi brothers were there singing, and that looks so cool. I was just like, oh, I wish I could be there.
I I actually went to the firehouse with my brother because they were showing Ghostbusters on the Intrepid. Yeah, you would have been like, "Yeah, I'll be your date for the night, Joe. I'll hang out with
Yeah,
you."
yeah, I'll hang out here.
This is when I had
and
my
the,
flight. I took in my bag. From we walked from the one side of the city to go to. We walked past the firehouse. I had my flight suit in my bag. I told my brother, "Do I do it?" He's like, "Do what?" I'm like, "Suit." And he goes, "Put the bag down." Put the flight suit on in front of the firehouse. Zipped it up. And this girl that, swear to gosh, she looked like Tina Felcher. She was looking at her mom like this, and she looked at me, looked at her mom, looked at me, and the mom looked at her, and she did this. I tapped her in the butt, and she was like, so the mom walked over to me, and I'm standing there leaning against the firehouse, like leaning in with my flight suit on, just staring around, staring at the crowd, staring at the firehouse, staring at me. And the mom walked up to me and said, whispered, and she said, "I gotta ask you a question." I'm like, "What's up? What's up?" And the firefighters are all looking at me like, I'm like, "Dude, get off the pole, get off the pillar on the side of the door." And I'm like, and then she's like, "Can you take a picture of my daughter really quick? She's so scared to ask you, and she loves Ghostbusters." And I was like, "Over there?" And I'm like, "Come here." And she's like, "Oh, but I'm nervous." I'm like, "Just." I did that, and I took a picture with her, and it was so
so
cute. It was
cute.
so cool, and it was so
Oh,
cool. And we got on the Intrepid. The Ghostbusters NYC Ghostbusters car was outside, and I saw the entire movie with a bunch of New York City Ghostbusters fans. And I got on the subway. I didn't have my pack. I just wore the flight suit. But it's so cool to like. Do you feel, as being now in the franchise, like, do you feel like when you're walking around, do you feel like do you feel different being in your gear than like being out of your gear or show or something like that?
yeah. When I first had it on, it was kind of weird that everyone was staring at me, but at the same time, it was really cool. And you started kind of feel a bit like a celebrity because uh, everyone just recognizes like the suit and the pack, and then usually get person we're driving by, like, yeah, Ghostbusters. And a funny phrase I like to use it, and people are like, oh, who are you gonna call? And I'm like, oh, that's a weird way of asking for my phone number. Um,
That's
um,
great.
but as I'm we're more of the equipment now, it's just kind of that I kind of hear the Alessi Brothers song, like "Saving the Day," that
Oh
first
god.
part of like dun, dun, and it's just really fun to walk around because there's just something that's different about it versus anything else that you would, I think, would wear, because it's just so iconic. But yet at the same time, you kind of blend, you look like a regular person. It's not like you stand out, like a superhero. But
Yeah.
because I mean, I think it's similar but different. You know, like versus you see like a stormtrooper walking around, but it's something different when you see like a proton pack and you see the lights running, and you see like the person with the goggles on, and that tube that comes out of the suit, and they see the patches, and they're just like, whoa, this is what's going on.
Yeah, like
It's just
I oh yeah, sorry.
no, no, no. I just think it's really cool. It's just something different about it that just it's so many people react to it, and it's funny to see more adults than kids react. Some kids still don't know, or I've seen parents go, "It's the Ghostbusters," and the kids are like, "Huh?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we need to show you that movie."
It's a movie that they haven't shown their kids because there's names and things that happen in that movie that are not for kids. Beer drinking,
Right.
cigarette smoking, like
Yeah, the ghost blowjob.
it's kind of, when I was
Just
thinking of
I knew
things
what
that,
that was when I was a
yeah.
kid, but a friend of mine on our franchise was like they didn't understand that, but I don't know, I got the reference, but I was 8 when the movie came out, so I kind of got what was going on, but I guess he felt that on our franchise he felt that the ghost was pantsing him like as a prank, So I was just, it was neat to hear that someone else's interpretation of what they thought that was. But it's neat how, or interesting to see how different PG movies have changed since now.
Yeah, totally. So, in closing, if there's any kids that want to join your Ghostbusters franchise, how can they contact you or anybody in the franchise?
For Portland, they could just go on our. We actually have a website, Portland Ghostbusters. I believe it's .org. We're really close to becoming a 501c3 nonprofit, but we're also on Facebook, Instagram. If you are not in the Portland area, just look up Ghostbusters group, or even a good place too. gbfans.com has lots of different chapters that you can find in your city. um, Internet is how I found the Portland Ghostbusters. I was just really, my son and I actually had bought HasLab packs and we wanted to join. And I just happened to look up, and I just looked up Portland Ghostbusters, and they popped up. And so I sent in an application, and here we are. Our first event was June last year. And
Oh wow!
our first event, it was a nighttime showing of the movie at an outdoor theater, and it was 98 degrees, and we showed up in our flight suits, sweating our balls, or his balls off. My son, my balls are up here. We were just sweating like crazy in these flight suits, but it was just still really neat. We didn't have proton packs or anything. I think all I had was just a basic pistol belt, and that was just how we got started. It was really cool.
Wow! I want to thank you so much for coming on Ghost Head Talk. Definitely have to do this again. We can probably get some more of your members. And
Yeah,
there,
definitely.
I'm also talking to you, internet. If there's any Ghostbuster fans or Ghostbuster franchisees that want to come on Ghost Head Talk, hit me up on Instagram under Ghost Head Talk Podcast. I am Ghostbuster Joe.
Keep on busting.
Your turn.
Oh,
Your turn.
and I'm Rain, Pop Uniform Coordinator for Portland Ghostbusters. I messed that up, didn't I?
It's okay. And we will see you again in the next one. Good night there, Ghostbusters. And remember, us ghost heads have a lot to talk about. Good night, everybody.